Okay, good morning. It's me again. I'm not in the basement today because I did something and I hurt myself. And so I didn't feel comfortable trying to bring the computer up and down the stairs because I have it up here because it's easier for me to do a lot of work up here, do the chores, and then I had to watch for packages oftenly and stuff like that. But because I hurt myself, I couldn't get it down the stairs. I couldn't I probably shouldn't have tried to get up because I couldn't feel my leg and I just kept trying to get up. And I've done this a million times, it feels like, since the back injury. And I've never had a problem getting up, but for some reason this time my foot would not go into a proper position. And for some reason my brain wasn't registering it. So I kept trying to get up. And somehow my weight got on my foot a few times. I think I was losing my balance and I couldn't get all the way up, and I was using my hands for balance and I couldn't move my foot to the proper position. And anyway, when it happened, I didn't feel anything. I heard like snapping and crackling. It just sounded horrible. Um, and then, but I didn't feel anything. But within a few minutes, when the when the feeling came back, yeah, it wasn't good. I wound up having to go to the ER. I, they said it's not broken. They're really glad that I had a boot cast though, because that's what they were gonna do anyway. Um, they gave me some medicine that makes me feel really kind of sick. It makes you dizzy and tired, and it messes with your stomach. And um, I'm noticing that I'm cold, and I'm getting a lot of stomach pain. So I'm trying to pick outfits. That's why I'm wearing pajamas, even though it's daytime. I'm trying to pick outfits that aren't restricting, and so that I'm not messing up my stomach. And also, if it does start creating issues, because one of the things that listed was diarrhea, and I don't want to be in clothes that are hard to manipulate if I'm experiencing that. Um, and so yeah, I'm just gonna be hobbling around, and I'll probably be doing these from the upstairs, despite the kitchen. Ugh, this this counter here, that's my daughter's doing. She just kind of drops everything. She's gonna drop everything and walk away. Um, that happens. I think people do that more than they'd like to admit. But I think most people do eventually come around and clean it up. But yeah. Um, so yeah, apologies about the mess behind me. I would normally be in the basement, but I hurt myself and I can't even get into the position I was without it hurting. I'm in the boot cast because it won't support my weight at all. Thankfully it's a really bad sprain and not a break, so there's that. And they were saying that where the damage is, if it had broken, I probably would have needed surgery, which is great. I may have a slight dislocation, but they think it'll fix itself when the swelling goes down, and that's good. They gave me the medicine. It's for swelling. It's not a narcotic, which is amazing. I'm just so glad the American medical system has caught on to the fact that narcotics don't cure everything. Because that's part of the reason we have such a drug problem over here. It's the doctors are like, oh, you're in pain, here's some pain meds. And then you've got people that think that any discomfort at all is unacceptable. Which, life fucking hurts. Life fucking sucks. Um, life just, it, it's not what you want sometimes. Don't always get your way. Things hurt, especially when you get older. Um, you might find yourself having to go on Social Security whether you want to or not. That's just how life is. And so yeah, I'm really glad that the American medical system has acknowledged that, yeah, discomfort and pain is normal. And you don't need to over medicate people so that they can heal. Um, I haven't taken this one before. They said it's like an NSAID, I think. But I can't take all this. There's a lot of medications I can't take. There's things I can't do. Like I can't drink. So I got like one glass of port or one drink of port in the fridge, and I can't have it until I'm off the medication. which is fine because I'm not a heavy drinker. I like to drink from time to time. It actually does help with the fibro, relaxes the muscles, helps me sleep. But if I do that too much, then it doesn't work. So that's kind of the way that is. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not a heavy drinker. I'm not sure why the brightness keeps changing. I think maybe something's moving around outside and the camera's like hyper adjusting or something. Um, but yeah, I messed up and I hurt myself, and I kind of feel a little dumb. So the ER doctor says if I can't feel my leg, I'm not allowed to try to get up anymore because yeah, something is going on. Thinks that there might be more going on with my spine, but there's no reason to check my spine other than that my foot wasn't responding. So I mean, like with the fibro, there's fires nearby, so the fires nearby could be creating a situation where I'm getting like swelling in some of my old injuries. Because there's often like toxins, and the closer to town, the more likely there's going to be toxins. Like there was one that they've got completely out and under control in an area called Cheney, and it actually burned into the town, and they had said that it had burned at least 2 illegal pot grow operations. So there's the marijuana, which I'm allergic to, but I don't think any of that traveled this far. But there were also things in there like wiring and chemicals and equipment and stuff like that that could have put a lot of nasty toxins, plus vehicles and, you know, tractors, stuff like that, houses. You just don't think about all the potential toxins until it gets in that are different between a forest fire and a fire in town. And then we've had one just on the other side of the hill, just outside of town, and they've almost got that one under control. And then we've got one over here. Okay, we got one over here, kind of. Oh, did he go out the window? Oh, my roommate's brother spent the night. He thinks we don't know he's here. So that's probably something he's doing. Okay. um, but yeah, we had one that was over west of town, kind of a northwest direction, and apparently there's one that's kind of north also, and those caused they got close enough to town to Spokane to cause evacuations. So thankfully we're not experiencing evacuations, but it's still there's fires around us and it's making us cough and be irritated and just not feeling all that great to begin with. So while I'm on my medication, I'm not be feeling very good. But I know it's gonna help me heal. I just feel like an idiot for not realizing or not being able to realize that I couldn't stand up. I should have been able to realize that, but for whatever reason I couldn't. And it's just yeah, that. um, um, yeah, so I'm glad I didn't break it this time. Because when I messed up the other one, it was bad. I broke it. I just fell. I didn't do anything magic. I just fell, and it destroyed my foot and my ankle. And that took forever to heal. It took over a year for that one to heal, and it still gives me trouble. So that's why I had the boot cast. So I'm glad I had the boot cast because now I can like figure out what's going on here. But this new injury does add credence to me needing to be on disability instead of trying to find a job. And so I'm hoping that I can hear something concrete from the attorneys soon. I'm hoping that it's as easy, like I said, as the secretary lady that I talked to thought it would be. I'm just not real sure. I'm just not real sure how complicated it's going to be. I'm going to try to get that done. I hope I don't have to figure out how to get to Kennewick because the only person that I know of that might drive me is not a not the best driver, and I don't know if I can trust her to go that far. And I don't have gas money. So but hopefully he comes here because a lot of attorneys, like my son's social security attorney would go to like Seattle and Tacoma for different reasons, that he was based in Bellingham. So I'm hoping it's something like that, that this guy's based in Kennewick, but he'll come to Spokane because I think that Spokane and Walla Walla will be the closest cities. Um, so I'm hoping that we can figure it out. Um, uh, so that sucks. But the good news is I did get enough sales to get a check, and my son-in-law was able to get my stuff out there. Apparently they got in trouble when they were out there because they're being idiots. I swear I have giant children. The children that are almost 30. It's just so weird. But that's a thing. um, yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to do better and trying to not hurt myself again. But it happens. I mean, with my disabilities, I get hurt really easy. And there's not really anything they can do about it because at this point, even if they could have done something about the metabolic disorder, it probably would have had to start in childhood. So they would have had to have acknowledged it in childhood. And then I probably would have had to have been taken away from my mother because she didn't want to take care of us at all. I mean, we wouldn't get fed. We wouldn't get changed. We wouldn't get bathed. She didn't care. That's just how she was. Um, and I don't know what that's all about. But I was watching a program about narcissism, and I think that was the part of her mental health issues that I was seeing was the narcissism. Now, what caused her to be that way? Who knows? Who knows? But she'd have to be able to be willing to go in and talk to like a professional and figure that out, and that's been something she hasn't been wanting or willing to do this entire time. So, because I think with that, she'd have to be able to admit that she did something wrong, and I know that's really hard for a lot of people. It's really hard for a lot of people to be like, yeah, I fucked up. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't realize or whatever, but I fucked up, and I know that now. And I'll try not to be like that again and maybe go to counseling or whatever, but it's so hard for a lot of people to admit when they're wrong. So that's probably where that is. Um but it is hard on us because we do wonder, was she more aware of what was going on, or was she actually um out of it because of either drug use or alcoholism or just the mental health issues itself, to where she just didn't actually know what was going on, but we can't get her to even talk to us about that. So yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, the fibro started when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I think the symptoms started shortly after my dad died. Um but they didn't know what it was. And I've had metabolic and autoimmune problems since birth. And so, like, a lot of this stuff, if they could have prevented any of my health issues, they would have had to have done it back then. But we're talking early 70s or late 70s, early 80s. They didn't know shit back then. They thought that people with fibromyalgia were faking it. So you would often get a hypochondria diagnosis instead of an actual there's something wrong with you diagnosis. And now we're looking at it differently. And I know cases like mine is why they're looking. It's part of the reason why they're looking at it differently. I know in the States, my case is definitely one of the first ones that actually got these doctors thinking, well, maybe there is something going on here, because why is this little kid having these symptoms that they shouldn't be having? And there's definitely something going on, because she'll have these one symptoms and then these other more drastic symptoms will occur. And so there's definitely something going on here. She's not faking this. So what is it? Oh, is Frank out there? Yeah, there's a Frank out there, isn't there? Jasper has noticed the Frank. Oh yeah, he's fixing his truck. Oh, that's what I figured he was doing. Um, uh, but yeah, I just, it's just so difficult. I know in Europe they're looking a lot differently at this stuff than they are here in the States, and they're actually looking at mitochondrial disruption, um, meaning that fibro, what we call fibro and chronic fatigue syndrome would be caused by somebody with an autoimmune disorder, whether they know it or not, getting one of a handful of viruses that are severe enough to mess with your mitos, but your immune system can't fight that. So you're dealing with this horrible virus, and your immune system can't fight it. So it's messing with you on a level that you don't, that doctors are only recently starting to understand. They don't call. I was watching a thing on from Germany. It was an English documentary about scientists in Germany, and they don't call it fibromyalgia. They call it I want to say myalgia encephalophagy or something like that. Um, because the mitos are acting like they're swollen even though they're not. So they're looking at why is that happening, and that causes like the fog that causes the what we call fibro fog, where you get stupid. Um, you can't recall. You and your head hurts and all this kind of stuff. That's that, and it causes the pain and the faux fevers because you feel like you have a fever but you don't have a fever. um the flu-like symptoms that we get a lot, that just general aches and pain, that just feeling like something's wrong when it's not, like the pain, like with my shoulder here. I know that I messed up my shoulder, but it's been feeling like it's been out of the joint for like months, but it's not. It's just sore and stiff. So um some part of me wishes I was in Europe, but then we have a friend, or not a friend, my son watches this YouTube guy that's in Europe who has a metabolic disorder and some relating health issues that are similar to what I deal with. I think his is actually worse than mine because it seems like his is affecting his bones, and mine seems to be affecting the connective tissue and the myalgias. And I do have growth deformities that are obvious in my bones, but none of them are like super, like you can't look at me and go, oh, you've got all these deformities. But if you get like the x-ray machine out, they're like, oh shit, there's one, it's little things with me. With some of the other people that I've heard of that have similar, it's bigger. So that's like these related metabolic disorders that are there's your body is not being able to process certain things like it's supposed to, so then you wind up having problems that other people wouldn't have. And so that's something that they acknowledge in Europe. But he's mentioned that um, even he has troubles getting doctors to believe him because his injuries will be way more severe than what you would expect from what he says happened. So he has to keep telling them that he's got this metabolic disorder, and he often has to have someone from his family come in with him to tell them, yeah, he does have a metabolic disorder. So before they'll take it seriously, otherwise they think somebody's beating on him or he's been in an accident and doesn't want to say something. I mean, like a car accident or some other type of accident. Doesn't want to say anything for whatever reason, and it's like I just wish that doctors could realize that not everybody falls into this normal blanket. You've got all these different things that are outside of the norm. Um, then that's why it's hard to diagnose autism in adults because there's so many things that um, it's the I can't think of the word right now, but it's crossover. There's so much crossover with all these other disorders that if you don't get diagnosed with autism when you're young, and that's the best time to get diagnosed because that's the most treatment, the most efficient things that they can do is when you're young. then they start working on these issues that you have. And so that's how come, I think that's part of the reason why my son's so high functioning is because we diagnosed him when he was very young and he got all this treatment and counseling and supported services type things that he needed so that he could to help him to understand the world a little bit better and understand why you need to be able to understand what other people are doing. So yeah, that's something, because like post-traumatic stress, complex post-traumatic stress have major crossovers with autism, and then you've got like ADHD that sometimes a lot of the kids that I grew up with that were diagnosed with ADHD in childhood are now diagnosed with bipolar. So that's another thing. So like I know a lot of doctors don't want to say children have bipolar, but puberty is a trigger. So they need to acknowledge that too. So it's like, and I could complain all day about the American medical system, but honestly, when I went to the emergency room yesterday, they took me straight back. I got treated right away. Um, I was treated very well. I like that hospital. Um, it's Deaconess. If people in Spokane are interested, they don't treat us. They didn't treat us weird. The other hospitals immediately, when Eli was really sick, when my son was really sick, the other hospitals would treat us like there was a drug component or there was some other problem, and that wasn't going on. And Deaconess just looked at him, tried to figure out what was going on because this was messed up. We didn't know what the hell was happening. Apparently, he might have nerve damage along his spine, though they're not sure what caused it. It could have just been because he got ulcers and then his system shut down, so he's probably got a metabolic disorder. It's probably the same one I have or something similar, but because I actually took care of him, it's not as bad as mine is. So, um, that's that. But I did like the way Deaconess treats me. I don't, even if I'd had to wait, it would have been fine. But I'd come in early enough to where the only other patients there were the ones that you kind of expect to show up, like me, where they hurt themselves easy or they have this thing that keeps happening or, so it wasn't like there was a lot of true emergency patients. Not saying that I was wrong to go to the emergency room because if I had broke it, I could have really messed it up trying to wait for the doctor to get around to it. So, um, yeah, there was definitely like, I wasn't dying, but it was still something that I could go to the emergency room for. And a lot of people don't realize that you can go to the emergency room for high fever. You can go to the emergency for unexpected pain, just random pain, because something is going on. You just don't know what it is. You can go to the emergency room for injuries that are not life-threatening. You just gotta wait. You just find yourself sitting in the waiting room waiting, and sometimes it can take forever. But yeah, I'm really glad they brought me in right back. All I needed was an x-ray. They didn't even draw blood. No question as to whether I was on drugs. I'm able to express the issues, the health issues, why this happens. I've done stuff like this before. I've messed myself up worse before. It's, got a metabolic disorder, got fibromyalgia, got autoimmune issues. So you're probably going to see me a lot. Actually surprised I was here this long before getting sick enough to actually, or having something happen that actually brought me to the ER. So yeah, they treated me very, very well, and I like that. They didn't treat me like I'm usually treated. So I very much like that. So I guess I'm ending this on a positive note because unless I'm getting a little long, and I apologize if you can hear the whatever the hell it is that Frank is doing out there. His truck tires keep going flat, and I think he's got like an air compressor or something. Um, so I apologize for that noise if it bothers you, if the mic even picked it up. But I'm gonna get off here. If you like what I'm doing, like and subscribe. Well, I mean, other than hurting myself, because I don't like that either. But if you like that I'm able to talk about this and and let you guys know that you're not alone. Because I know a lot of times that you can feel so alone and isolated. And at some point, when I get enough subscribers, I'm gonna be doing lives, and then we can like communicate. I guess like I can respond to you while you're talking to me, but I don't have enough subscribers. I think you need to have 100 or 1,000 or something like that, and I'm only at like 2. But 2 is pretty good. I haven't been doing this very long, so having 2 at this point is really great. So, but yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll try to do content that's not stupid, but sometimes my brain doesn't let me do that. So I apologize in advance if I'm being stupid. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.